Hey guys, my name is Nika Comet, and I'm a singer for a band called Chase the Comet. And that's why I decided to share my ideas on how to start a band, my experience on how to start a band. Because it happened so that I already started 3 bands in my life, in different periods of my life, under 3 different titles, and hopefully third time's the charm. And I get a lot of messages from my fans on my Instagram, asking for some tips and advice on different subjects. But the best thing, the best knowledge that I've got is in the band field, in the music field, and I'm happy to share this knowledge if it helps. Because it's obvious that when we start playing an instrument or when we start singing, who's watching me? Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. It's always great to have some interaction if you have any questions. So, the best thing you can do when you start playing a musical instrument is to enjoy yourself and keep practicing, keep making your skills better. But I know many of us start doing this because we're fans of some famous bands, and we want to be like them. We want to cover their songs. We want to, just soak in that band vibe that we see. And it's amazing. It's great because I believe the best part of playing in a band, and that's actually why we started our own band, is to have fun with your friends, right? Basically, you get together with your friends, or they become your friends after a while, and you just, jam together, you spend time, you have fun, you hang out. And for us, personally, being in a band always meant to be friends with your bandmates, like best friends. Because what can be better than playing music with your best friends? So that's actually how we started our first band. Alex, Chase the Comet guitarist, started this band with his classmate. They both were fans of the same band, the Russian band Король и Шут, and they both decided to create a band. They didn't know how to play any instruments, but they went to the musical school, and Alex chose guitar and trombone, and Yuri, our friend, he chose bass. So they started learning their musical instruments after they decided to create a band. With a lot of you, it's different because you already know how to play your musical instrument, and you wonder how you can get into a good band, and get somewhere. So I'll be telling a little bit about this, about ways how to do that, and how we did it, because every time it was different. So let's imagine you already know how to play a musical instrument a little bit. You practice at home, and then you want to find a band. So the first thing that you can do is you can ask around, right? You can ask your friends or friends of their friends, and see, who plays what. Because there's always people who play something. And from my experience, I'll tell you the amount of people who sing is pretty numerous. Especially if it doesn't require singing, if it requires like rapping or, doing extreme vocals, there's people around. It is usually even more difficult to find a person with good, clean vocals. And later I would say there's lots of girls who sing clean, but with boys it's more rapping or extreme vocals. So, yeah, there's definitely people who sing or rap around. So you have to figure out what you want to do. Do you want to start covering some of your favorite band songs, or do you want to try to play your own songs, or maybe you just want to join a band, which is an option too. If you don't write your own songs yet, you want to join, you want to find people who do. So, yeah, so there was that amazing meme when like the amount of vocalists, how many vocalists, and there's like a crowd, then guitarists, even a bigger crowd, like everybody plays guitar, then bass. There's probably like 4 or 5 guys, and then drums, and then there's one guy, and he says, "I already played 8 bands." Red Hood. Can I join your band? I can play a mean cowbell. That's awesome, dude. At the moment, there's just 2 of us, Alex and I. We're not looking for other musicians, and also I don't know where you're from. So, obviously, if you want to play in a band, it's better to be in one town, so that you could be able to get together pretty often, because probably nowadays you can be in a band online, like, hey, let's call each other on the WhatsApp and play together, but there's always that little time delay, so I don't know how that would work, but maybe someone will improve that, and that would be possible pretty soon, to play online together. That would be awesome. I'll be able to teach vocals online then. Yeah, but I follow you on Instagram as well, and I like a bunch of your posts, and you like mine as well. I'm from Stockton, CA. That's awesome. Wait, Stockton isn't that far from Los Angeles, is it? Is it? Let me know. Do you play any musical instrument, by the way? Are you in a band, or do you wanna join some other band than mine? Okay, so let's go further while you're writing. Let's see the next thing. Right, so let's imagine you decided to join a band, and you ask your friends, you asked around, and let's say you found one person, but you still need 2 more, right? If we're talking about classical rock lineup, it's gonna be drums, bass, guitar, and vocals, right? I'll tell you a little secret. When I first joined Alex's and Yuri's first band, I didn't even know the difference between guitar and bass. Okay, so I didn't even want to be a part of the band. They just invited me because they wanted to have a female vocalist. And I was like, okay, I'll come and hang out, whatever. Let me see what you wrote. No, not really. And I know how to play the electric guitar. Me and my brother play instruments. I used to live in Riverside, California. Yeah, I know Riverside. I have good friends in there, in a band called Dianthus. Nice. Yeah, I think Stockton is somewhere here around too. That's awesome. Well, whatever. Someone plays instruments as a hobby, and that's fine too if you guys enjoy playing it with your brother. Because sometimes brothers don't get along. Like, look at Oasis, or who else? What brothers ruined their band? Except for Oasis, I don't remember. But yeah, there's lots of examples of brothers founding a really amazing successful band like 30 Seconds to Mars or Good Charlotte, or give me more examples, come on. But yeah, the idea is to have fun, right? You don't want to do it if it doesn't bring fun, and that should be the main idea. You shouldn't be in a band because your main motivation is to fuck more chicks, or to make more money. Because if this is your motivation, you're not gonna get anywhere. So you have to enjoy the process. It means you have to be around the people you enjoy being around. So yeah, looking for like-minded people around your friends is the greatest thing that you can do. But let's say you looked around, you didn't find some of the people that you needed. What can you do? So the best option is to find online, look online. There's different specialized websites for that we personally used and that a lot of professional people use, actually. So the first website that I can recommend is bandmix.com. If you're from the United States, it's probably the best option. The website gives you the opportunity to see the demos that the person has on file, the audios, the videos, the pictures, and when you add your profile, you can add a profile as a band that is looking for a member, or you can add a profile as a solo musician looking for a band or for collaborators, which is great because, for example, you need like a soloist to record cello in your upcoming song. So you put it there as a looking for a soloist for a project, right? And it's a musicians community, and you are able to actually look through all the profiles within a certain distance from your home. So for example, you have a space in your garage that you want to use as a rehearsal space. It means that the person should live like 25 miles around you. So you go to Bandmix, you set up the radius to 25 miles from, you put your zip code in, and then you look for people who are around. This is awesome. And you can see their pictures, you can see their musical influences, you can see if they have videos on their profiles. So it's really, really helpful. And some people reached out to me asking for advice where to look for like extreme vocalist. I'm like, hey dude, go to Bandmix, and they didn't even know the website existed. So I'll definitely do that. Thank you. You're so welcome. Yeah, that's a cool tool to use. And what I really love about Bandmix is that you can also classify people by the level of their commitment. So for example, you're not looking to like tour right away, right? You're just looking to play some music, as a hobby with some like-minded dudes, drink some beer, on a Saturday night in your garage. That's fine. And you can find people by the level of commitment, because Bandmix gives you this opportunity. There's like the amount of gigs played that you can choose, like, hey, we played less than 100 gigs, right? Then the very amount of commitment is touring, beginner or medium. So you can choose, and you can put it in a search, right? So only the people with the sought level of commitment will show up on a search. This is awesome, I think. The other thing is you can also go to Craigslist if you're in the United States. If you're in other countries, this would be the website where people usually sell their stuff. There's always a tab for community. And in the community tab, there would be musicians. Mostly it's musicians for hire, who are looking for some for gigs, for paid gigs. But there's also people who look for band members. So if you're actively looking for a new band member or to join a band, you can post your ad everywhere, on Bandmix, on Craigslist, or whatever website is used in your country. And then wait, and just check it every once in a while. Another idea that used to be very popular before the internet became so widespread, people would go to rehearsal spaces that are close to their place of living, and they would put printed ads there. I still see that around. When I pass by some rehearsal spaces in LA, there would still be boards of information. There would still be printed ads like, hey, looking for a keyboardist and then people would enlist all their requirements. So that's an option too. I never did it myself because we would always put posts online. Like, for example, so as I said, for our first band that was called The Sun, we actually found people around. Like, we didn't use the internet. It was in 2005 that we started our first band. So Alex started it with his classmate, and there was his other friend from, just his friend, and he said, "Hey, dude, do you want to sing in my band?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." And they started like practicing. The dude couldn't sing at all, so we had to kick him out later. But anyway, that was the point, right? To have fun with your friends. And then we had a sax player in the band. And Alex found him when some of his acquaintances said that he knew a guy who played sax. And Alex is like, "Hey, what's the guy's name?" He's like, "Andrew. Can you give me his phone?" Sure. He took his phone, and then he called the guy. He's like, "Hey, Andrew, do you want to play sax in my band?" The dude's like, "Yeah, sure." So this works sometimes, but with this, you can never know the level of commitment, and obviously people would not necessarily have any background, right? So if you're just beginning, if you're a beginner yourself, that's awesome because you get to meet new people, and they have their own friends that they can bring to your show later, which is amazing because you will all create kind of a new circle around the band. We had that crew. It was called the Sun Family because the band was called The Sun, and we had a mob of people who would come to every show, who would hang out with us. Would you guys ever collaborate with dubstep? Yeah, why not? I mean, we're open to any collaborations. The problem is that a lot of people, when they suggest collaborations, it usually stops after the suggestion. It doesn't go anywhere else. We used to be into dubstep when it first became trendy, but then obviously, the trend went away. So we kind of, just kept doing our thing. But yeah, if you have any suggestions, feel free to send them to me in my Instagram DM, and how you see it, and let's go from there. Let's see what we can do. Yeah. So what was I talking about? Yeah. So again, to how we found musicians. So with our second band, by the end of the time The Sun was about to finish existing, we were looking for a drummer. And by that time, we already had some following. We already had, so we have that Russian social network that's called VK. It's like the Russian Facebook. And we just basically posted an ad about looking for a drummer, and then asked everybody to share. And then sometime later, the guy just reached out to us. He's like, "Hey, I got a few of your songs in my playlist. So I would love to try." And then we got together, and he was awesome. And so we started playing together. Sometimes you can just basically write a post on your wall on Facebook, and ask your friends to share. But it's like asking around. So yeah. The next thing. So let's imagine you found musicians, all right? You got together in your garage. But what if you don't have a garage? What if you have to look for a place where you actually, jam and rehearse? I'll tell you this. In Russia, almost nobody has a garage. So you have to go and rent a rehearsal space to play at, and everybody should pay for that. So that's how it happened for us. We would find some cheap rehearsal space, and then everybody would, share the costs. And that was fine. So, but it is it is obviously an effort that you have to do. You know, like if you start a band and it's your band and you're the leader, you have to be responsible for looking for band practice space, figuring out how much it costs, booking it. So you see, it already you got more responsibilities than everybody else, right? But it doesn't mean that you have to think about the money that you have to share. Please don't. Because first of all, again, we're doing it for the fun, right? So maybe there should be some person in charge of that, or maybe you guys will alterate who does this, right? But there should be some responsibility connected with that, because with rehearsal spaces, it's very important to, you know, if you book a slot, then you have to show up. Like, you can't be fucking an hour late, because you will still have to pay for that time, right? So you have to make sure everybody in your band comes on time, and everybody, you know, understands that they have to share the costs. We had people who were not able to pay for practices sometimes, you know, like they would show up and they'd be like, hey, you know what, I got no money today, dude. It would be like, come on, dude, why wouldn't you tell me before? Like, I already bought myself an extra beer for that money. So you have to figure out these things in advance. And what is cool is that nowadays there's group chats as WhatsApp, where you can let everybody know what's going on, like if you don't have money. So you just have to communicate it through with your new bandmates or whatever, right? If it's been going for a while, you know, there should always be communication, and everybody should understand that if you guys book a slot at a rehearsal space, you have to fucking show up, right? You have to show up, play, and you know, make it neat and clear. At the time when we started our first band, The Sun, it was very, very DIY back there in Russia. We would practice at like an old plant or factory, you know, the guys would drink themselves there, you know, and everything would be really, really punk rock-y, you know. Then we practiced at a garage. The guy bought a garage, and he made it into a practice space, and we would also get really, really drunk there and have fun. Today, you have to understand where you're going to, because a lot of rehearsal spaces have certain rules that you have to stick to, because otherwise, you know, you can get in trouble, because if you ruin something, if you burn an amp, you know, if you bring beer, if you drink it in the room, it can be really dangerous. And the worst thing that can happen is that you can get bad reputation as a band, which you don't want, right? Because you don't want to be in the blacklist. And sometimes, you know, if you're a little bit reckless and if you get a little bit tipsy and you have your beer on the amp, dude, it's gonna fall down. I know, I know what I'm talking about. Sometimes, you know, you'd get a little bit tipsy and then you would kick yourself with the mic in your teeth. My teeth were longer back in the day. Well, it's good. It's good. They look amazing now, I know, but they used to be longer. And I heard stories of people just kicking their teeth out with the mic, you know, so the idea is you have to understand where you're going to. If it's a garage where you can hang out, do whatever you want, if it's your garage, even better. But if you rent a rehearsal space, you have to make sure nobody gets really out of control. You know, that some rehearsal spaces ask not to bring drinks in the room, to drink outside of the room, which makes sense to me. Alex once spilled beer on his laptop, and it was at home, and it was his own laptop, you know, and it was really it was really bad. But if you burn someone else's equipment, that's even worse, you know? So make sure you book an appropriate rehearsal space for a band. If it's the first time that you meet with people, maybe don't book anything extraordinary. Just book something, you know, average, middle, and then you'll go from there. Also, if you've never been to a rehearsal space, it's useful to know that they have different rates for different hours, obviously, right? Everybody wants to rehearse in prime time. That's what they call it. It's usually time after 6 p.m. on weekdays until midnight, because most of the time you're at work or in school during the first part of the day, so nobody really comes to practice. But everybody wants to come after 6 and practice, you know, either from 6 to 9 or from 9 to midnight. And it's weekends. So if you want to save a little bit of money and you have a flexible schedule with all your bandmates, it's good to practice in that time that's not prime time, right? So somewhere in the morning, or I heard about bands practicing at night. I never did that. I need to sleep at night. That's very important for the voice. But I heard about bands just renting a rehearsal space from like midnight to 6 a.m. in the morning. You know, like doing some snores and hanging out, you know, just jamming. But that's up to you. I don't know if that's if they do it here in America, but they used to do it a lot in Russia. And I had a lot of friends who would do that. Another thing that you can think about later is to rent a lookout. A lot of people in America do that, and it's not that expensive. If you're in school, that won't work for you because you have to pay like $350 average for sometimes more, depending on the city and on the space that you're renting. But you know, if you don't make a lot of money, if you don't make money at all yet, that's not an option. But with that, you are able to basically come there whatever time you want and practice as much as you want, and talk as much as you want. And ideally, everybody from the band would share the costs again. So that's another option if you're sure that you're gonna practice on a regular basis. And you know, sometimes people would even rent a lockout if they need to play drums. Some drummers just have their lockouts for themselves because they can't practice at home. It's too loud. Yeah, so I think I covered a lot on what it's better to do when you start a band. By the way, a little tip. Our drummer Elliot, from our ex-drummer Elliot from Chase the Comet, actually found us on Bandmix because we had our profile, and he found us there, reached out to us, and we've played together for a year and a half, which is a lot. So you see, even professional musicians find each other on Bandmix. And if you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to cover them in my next recorded videos, because I release them every Wednesday or Thursday, or in my streams. And it would be awesome if you could join my streams and, you know, let me know what you think. Red Hood, let me know what your name is, please, so that I could remember. Yeah, if you guys have any questions or any more tips for those who start a band, please feel free to share them. And I'll think about what I want to talk about next time. Because I think there's so many things that we can discuss about bands and music. And a lot of people ask me how to organize their touring, and I'll be happy to share my experience on that. I just enjoy listening to you. It's Morgan Crane. If I have any questions, I'll message you on Instagram. Okay, sure, Morgan. Thank you for watching me. It's been half an hour already. Um, and I'll see you next time. And let me know if you want to know something else. Morgan, thanks for watching. Yeah, oh, by the way, I don't know how far it's from Stockton, but this Friday I'm going to have a huge birthday celebration show in Hollywood. If you can make it, awesome. I'll be happy to meet you in person. And I'll see